For the last 71 years, we've watched some of the greatest moments in sports history.
There's Mikan. His quick set is off the rim, but George makes good in his second try, 85 to 81.
Being guarded by Dennis Johnson.
Byron Scott is in the ball game now. 5 seconds to go. Matches with a hook shot. Scores with 2.
The look away to Livingston. Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan. That's 13 consecutive field goals.
Iverson, bothered by Lewis. Iverson. How about that? And it steps over Toronto.
7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was dead in the water.
The Sixers, a 1-point game. Walker can tip it. Bryant with the save. He's going to get a shot. Final seconds. Bryant for the win.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! With 0.6 of a second remaining.
Lillard, a chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long range 3. It's good! At the buzzer! Damian Lillard! Are you kidding me?
But what if we went all the way back and redid it? Today is the year 1976, guys. Welcome back to another episode of NBA 2K Resimulation here on NBA 2K21 Next Gen. If you guys have missed any of the previous episodes, or if you guys have never seen this series in NBA 2K20, go down in the description and check those out. There are playlists for both series, so if you guys want to check it out, that is there for you guys. But if you guys missed the last episode, we are going to go over kind of briefly what happened. So Rick Barry won a couple more MVPs. That gives him 4. Let's go down this MVP list, actually, because I kind of want a refresher here. So George Mikan had, let's see, 5, 6, 7 MVPs. Bob Cousy, and I believe that's the record. Bob Pettit might have it. We'll see. So 7 for George Mikan. Bob Cousy has what? 4, I believe. And then Bob Pettit has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Willis Reed has 3. Rick Barry has 4. Wilt has 1, and Gus Johnson just 1. So Bob Pettit and George Mikan hold the record for 7 MVPs, which I believe that might have been the record the last time we did this in 2K20. I can't really remember, but if you guys could let me know in the comments. Also, once we hit the 1980s, which is, I guess, maybe not after this episode, but after the next episode, just because then we'll fully be into the 80s, I will give you guys my top 10 list of greatest of all time so far. So if you guys can give me your top 10 list throughout the 70s and 80s after this video, let me know in the comments below, and I'll go ahead and give you guys mine as well. So we'll kind of do that, and then maybe as we enter the 2000s, I'll give you guys another list, and then, after the series. So anyways, as far as past champions, we've had pretty much a different team win it. Now, Houston won it 2 and 3 years, and then they lost. They're going to the finals every other year, but they did lose to the Bucks last season. Gus Johnson won Finals MVP. Portland beat Boston year before that in 5. Spencer Haywood won MVP. And then Elgin Baylor won the Finals MVP against the Buffalo Braves, that really young, really good Buffalo Braves team. So a couple changes real quick before I get into it. Obviously, as you guys can see, I kind of simmed through, so I'll get to the retirements and whatnot. But real quick, I did obviously enter in some teams. So the San Antonio Spurs are now in the NBA from the AABA. And I was thinking about this. Maybe what I'll do, and I think would be really fun, but I don't know if it's possible. Next time we do this, maybe in 2K22, what I might do is take all of the NBA teams, because before the ABA teams came in, I believe there was maybe like 15 or 16 teams, I want to say. But what I was thinking is, what if I put all of the NBA teams in like the Western Conference or Eastern Conference, and then all the ABA teams in the Western Conference when that time comes around. So the real NBA finals that we'd be tracking would be the Eastern Conference finals, because, you know, the first round doesn't come until the NBA ABA merge anyways, right? Pretty much. So I was thinking, what if we did that, and then I can like dig into the ABA history, and we can kind of like get some of those teams and do all of that. I think that would be really cool. And then when I merge them, obviously it would be really easy. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about that. The only problem with that is obviously every team would be on the at least for like the NBA when we do that, every team's on the same conference. So it wouldn't be, so we could have, you know, the Celtics playing the I don't know, I can't think of another ABA team right now, but, you know, like the Celtics playing the Hawks in the NBA Finals, which obviously wouldn't make sense, even though I think we had that in this series, but you know what I mean. Or like the Celtics and the Knicks playing each other in the NBA Finals, so it might get a little weird with that, but also like, I don't know, I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun. So anyways, let me know in the comments if you guys think that would be a good idea for 2K22. And obviously, like, we're, what, 3-4 months away from that? So we'll see. I'm very curious to see when 2K22 will actually come out. So anyways, NBA ABA merger. The San Antonio Spurs are now in the league. The Indiana Pacers have entered the NBA. The Utah Jazz were supposed to enter in 1974 in the last episode. Totally forgot. Utah's very forgettable. So yeah, they're in here, and I will give them the #1 pick in the draft. So there you go. Let's see. The Kansas City Kings, the Knicks, the Lakers will be getting logo change in this episode, if I remember. The New Jersey Nets are supposed to be the New York Nets. Couldn't find the right logo, so they will be the New Jersey Nets. Honestly, they were supposed to be the New York Nets for a year, so who cares? The Denver Nuggets have entered the league, and I believe, and then Seattle's logo was changed, and I believe that's it. I will be changing the 76ers logo in this episode, and I believe that's it for logo changes, at least in this episode, unless the Cavs need a logo change. Let me look real quick. I believe theirs is like in the 80s though. Yeah, 83, 84. So I think that's it for logo changes. Obviously, the Celtics got their logo changed as well. But in this episode will be Lakers and 76ers. Also, I will, after the offseason, I will be switching the Buffalo Braves and the Atlanta Hawks. It drives me nuts. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So on to some player retirements here. Sam Jones retires. He spent most of his career in Kansas City, with the Cincinnati Royals, which eventually turned into the Kansas City Kings. And then he finished his career in Seattle, and then 1 year in Philly. So he does retire. Awards: he's an 8-time All-Star, one-time first-team All-NBA, one-time second-team All-NBA, 9-time third-team All-NBA. He was the Rookie of the Year in the year 1959, or 1958, and then he was on the first-team All-Rookie team that year. So Sam Jones retires. Tom Sanders also retires, a one-time champion in 1969, I believe. 7-time All-Star, a one-time second-team All-NBA, 3-time first-team All-Defensive, and 6-time second-team All-Defensive. And I believe that's it for retirements. For players, Hall of Famers, they both entered the Hall of Fame. Sam Jones, a career average of 22.7 points per game. Also had 4.5 assists. Tom Sanders averaged 12 and 12 a game. A steal and almost 2 blocks per game over the course of his career. So there are the player retirements, and let's get into the NBA draft, where I believe we have 5 players in this draft. So here into the 1976 NBA draft, The order of it goes the Utah Jazz, the 76ers, the Pistons, the Knicks, and the Atlanta Hawks. I will not be putting any of the ABA teams in this draft just because to me and like in my mind they need to like earn it in a way. So and obviously the Utah Jazz obviously deserve the number 1 overall pick since I kind of forgot about them in 1974. So anyways, with the number 1 overall pick, the Utah Jazz select Adrian Dantley. With the number 2 overall pick, the Philadelphia 76ers take Robert Parrish. With the 3rd overall pick, the Detroit Pistons take Dennis Johnson. With the 4th overall pick, the New York Knicks take Alex English. That's a good pick. And with the 5th overall pick, the Atlanta Hawks take Mike Dunleavy. I don't know if I remember to pin. Oh, I know you can't see her. Never mind. I was gonna say my puppy is over there just squeaking away. But anyways, that is the 5 picks in the 1976 NBA draft. Let's get on to free agency. Here in free agency, and we gotta move. Are you kidding me? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar leaves the Phoenix Suns and joins the New York Knicks, who, by the way, just got Alex English. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What a pickup. What an offseason for the Knicks. Rick Barry is leaving Chicago after losing in the NBA Finals last season. Rick Barry just loves to travel around. Was with the Lakers, then to Chicago, now to the Houston Rockets, who just lost the NBA Finals. So the Rockets getting a big-time player. Rick Barry is 32, so we'll see what happens. Julius Erving does stay in Buffalo. Billy Cunningham leaving Buffalo. He was a big piece for that Buffalo team, and he's going to the Bullets. Wilt is going to the San Antonio Spurs, so the Spurs getting a player. 38 years old, though. JoJo White leaves the Houston Rockets. Houston went out and got Rick Barry. Probably didn't have enough money for JoJo White. Probably a slight upgrade for them, but he is older, so, you know, you lose a 27-year-old JoJo White. And JoJo White joins the Knicks. The Knicks oh my God, the Knicks just built a super team. Bob McAdoo stays in Portland. Dave DeBusschere goes from Atlanta to Washington. Oscar Robertson, at the age of 36, joins the New York Knicks and leaves the Houston Rockets. Van Arsdale goes to the Lakers. Westfall to the Lakers, or stays with the Lakers. Cunningham goes to the Nuggets. Wilkins staying with the Sonics, and there's the rest. But we've got a super team in New York. I want to look at that roster real quick. The New York Knicks just went crazy in the offseason. They signed a 27-year-old Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. By the way, the same draft, right? Yeah. Wow. 1969. They went out and literally just bought a team. Kareem, JoJo White, the veteran Oscar Robertson. They have Bob Love at 33 years old. McLaughlin, Alvin Adams, who's a 23-year-old who averaged 21 a game and 12 rebounds last year. Wedman. And then, oh, by the way, they drafted Alex English, which is probably the best player in that draft. Are you kidding me? The Knicks just went crazy. If the Knicks don't win a championship, that is a fun. I cannot wait. That is such a fun team. Such a fun team. You know, Kareem did not win a championship. He's stuck in, I believe, Houston, right? Houston. When in the 2K20 version, if you guys didn't check it out, go check it out. But he did not win a championship, and it was probably one of the biggest disappointments. I would say actually MJ was probably the biggest, but Kareem was right up there with the biggest disappointment. I don't think that's gonna happen this time around. They got a super team, and Kareem and Oscar are together, and and they went out and got JoJo White and drafted Alex English. They got a ton of guards over there, and they're not old. Like, they got a solid, 6 years if Kareem resigns? Man, that's going to be a fun team. Before we get into the regular season, I'm switching the Hawks and the Braves. I'll go ahead and switch their logos. So that is happening. The Atlanta Hawks will be in the East. The Braves will be in the West. I don't know why we can't do a league realignment. It's driving me nuts, but we're going to go with that. So the 1976-1977 NBA season is now over. And Bob McAdoo wins MVP, averaging 36 points per game, 16 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. And I believe that's his first. Yeah, that's his first regular season MVP. Adrian Dantley wins Rookie of the Year, averaging 35 and 8 for the Utah Jazz. Sixth Man of the Year was Charlie Scott, averaging 12, 5, and 5. Julius Erving wins Defensive Player of the Year, averaging 27, 6, and 5, 2.5 steals, and 2 blocks per game. Somehow shot nearly 30% from 3. Also, that's a thing coming in that will be coming in 1979. So the next episode, which is very exciting. And I'll bump that obviously back up. All NBA first team, we got Nate Archibald, Jeff Petrie, Rick Barry, Dan Issel, and Bob McAdoo. Kind of a very different all NBA first team there. Archibald averaged 38 and 5. Petrie averaged 36 and 5. Rick Barry in Houston averaged 36 and 14. A couple of Houston Rockets players there. Dan Issel, 26 and 22 a game. And Bob McAdoo. All NBA second team, JoJo White for the Knicks, averaging 22 and 11. Dave Bing for the Phoenix Suns. Spencer Haywood for the Portland Trailblazers. Gus Johnson for the Milwaukee Bucks. And Wilt Chamberlain for the San Antonio Spurs, averaging 34 and 14 per game. All NBA third team, we got Jerry West for Golden State. David Thompson for Philly in his second year. Billy Cunningham for the Washington Bullets. Elvin Hayes for the Chicago Bulls. And Willis Reed for the LA Lakers, averaging 26 and 18. All defensive first team, we got JoJo White, Joe Caldwell, Julius Erving, Rick Barry, and Artis Gilmore. And for the all defensive second team, we got Van Arsdale, Jeff Petrie, Maurice Lucas, Elvin Hayes, and Kareem, who did not make an All-NBA team, averaged 19 and 15 per game, also had a steal and 2 blocks per game. So on to the NBA playoffs. As expected, the New York Knicks are the number 1 seed in the East. In the West, the Portland Trailblazers are the number 1 team. Bob McAdoo, the MVP over there. They face off against the Kansas City Royals. The Royals with Nate Archibald, Don Nelson, Phil Jackson. And for the 4-5 seed, we got the Lakers and the Buffalo Braves. Gus Williams, Paul Westphal, Van Arsdale, Truck Robinson, and Willis Reed for the Lakers. For the Braves, Fred Brown, Pete Maravich, Julius Erving, their first year, and Nate Thurman, their first year in the West. Guys, for Golden State, for the 3-6, we got Golden State and Houston. Jerry West, Rudy Tomjanovich, Jerry Lucas, and Walt Bellamy. And for the Rockets, we got Jeff Petrie, Rick Barry, Rudy LaRusso. And then for the 2-7 is Seattle and Phoenix. Lenny Wilkins, Allen Havlicek, Harvey Catchings, and Bob Lanier. Chet Walker coming off the bench. For Phoenix, we got Dave Bing, Austin Carr, Keith Erickson, Dan Issel. And yeah, that's it. So for the East, we got the Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers. This starting 5 is ridiculous. JoJo White, Oscar Robertson, John McLaughlin, Bob Love, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And off the bench, you got the number 4 overall pick, Alex English, and Alvin Adams, who was the number 2 overall pick last year. Scott Wedman as well. So yeah, that's not a bad team. That's not a bad team. For Philly, they got Willie McCarter, David Thompson, George Irvin. Okay, Robert Parrish. That's actually a solid team. Really solid. Pretty young. Got David Thompson in his second year, George Irvin in his third year, and then Robert Parrish is a rookie. So keep an eye on the Philadelphia 76ers. 4-5, we got the Milwaukee Bucks, Bob Dandridge, Gus Johnson, Dave Cowens, the defending champions. And then we got the Atlanta Hawks, their first year in the East. Mike Dunleavy, Doug Collins, Lou Hudson, Steve Mix, and Bill Walton. For the 3-6, we got the Washington Bullets with Henry Bibby, Bobby Jones, Billy Cunningham, and Wes Unseld. Billy Cunningham coming over from Atlanta. And then Dave DeBashir coming off the bench. And then we got the 6-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers with Phil Chenier, Maurice Lucas, and Artis Gilmore. And for the 2-7, we got the Boston Celtics, Earl Monroe, Gail Goodrich, Campy Russell, George McGinnis, and Rick Robertson. Walt Frazier coming off the bench for that team. And Charlie Scott as well. For the Detroit Pistons, we got Dennis Johnson, World B. Free, Joe Caldwell, Jamal Wilkes. And yeah, that's it for the Detroit Pistons. So we got a very, very fun year here in the 76-77 NBA playoffs. Let's see what happens in round number 1. See if there's any upsets. The Bullets, the Hawks, the Braves, the Pistons, the 76ers, the Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors, Kansas City Kings are all eliminated. There was a big upset with Golden State being eliminated by the Houston Rockets. But to be fair, the Houston Rockets were in the NBA Finals just a year ago. We got the Knicks and the Bucks, and then the 6-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers upset the Washington Bullets. So the Cavs will be playing the Boston Celtics in the second round. So on to the Eastern, or for the conference finals for the East and West. The Houston Rockets, who were in the NBA Finals a year ago, get eliminated. The Cavs get eliminated by Boston. The Bucks are swept by the Knicks. And the Lakers lose to Portland. So the MVP of the regular season is still in it with Bob McAdoo. I think I forgot to go over this Portland team. Got Jim King, Brian Winters, Spencer Haywood, and Bob McAdoo. That's a good team. Their 4-5 is amazing. Those two are absolutely carrying the team. Brian Winters is a solid young player. And then Jim King, the veteran over there. It's a good team. And then Seattle, obviously, with Wilkins, Allen, Havlicek, Catchings, and Bob Lanier. Chet Walker off the bench. Get the Knicks and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's a really good... This is 2 really good conference finals. I'm liking this. Game number 1 goes to the home teams. The Knicks and the Blazers. Game number 2 as well to the Knicks and the Blazers. Game number 3 goes to the Knicks and the Blazers. And we got to sweep the Knicks, sweeping the Boston Celtics. Seattle takes a game off of Portland. So game number 5 does go to the Portland Trailblazers. Let's look at game number 5 stats. Bob McAdoo, the MVP, had 49 and 16. Brian Winters with 30 and 9. Haywood with 22 and 14. And then for the Knicks and Celtics game 4, Kareem at 26 and 14, McLaughlin with 19, 18 for Bob Love, and Oscar 17, 7 and 5. JoJo White had 7 and 13, Alex English had 7 and 7. The Knicks are so deep, man. I don't know. And they have the size too. If we go ahead and look at this starting lineup here, we got JoJo White and Jim King. That's a mismatch. JoJo White should win that. Oscar and Brian Winters, that's a little bit tougher, but I still think Oscar, even at an older age, is a little bit better right now. McLaughlin has a mismatch there. Bob Love and Spencer Haywood, and this is where the bigs will get interesting, right? The bigs will decide this. If Spencer Haywood and Bob McAdoo dominate this series, they'll win. But you gotta, I don't know if you can dominate Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, the Knicks, I think, have the better bench. So here we go. The Blazers and the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. Game number 1 and into the fourth quarter. It's a close one. Portland up by 2. 3 minutes to go. Portland taking a 6-point lead. And if Portland can steal game 1 in New York, this would be massive. It's a 4-point game. The Knicks make it a 2-point game. Let's jump in. By the way, this Portland team won the NBA Finals just 2 years ago over the Celtics in 5. Spencer Haywood was the Finals MVP. Brian Winters, tough turnaround jumper. That's no good. Alex English now bringing it up. The rookie, number 4 overall pick. Kareem looks like he's going to check back in here. Alex English drives right, puts it up in. Oh! Missed it. But Alex English taking on Brian Winters, the rookie. Not afraid of the moment, and he goes to the free throw line and knocks down the first. Looks like Kareem is now back in. And, oh, Alex English misses that free throw. That's a big free throw miss right there for the rookie. King, now with it, Kareem guarding him. Okay. Into the post of Brian Winters. Winters, another tough turnaround jumper. That's 2 straight where he took that shot. Misses. Now English will bring it up. English being guarded by a first last, I believe. And again, Alex English just attacking the mismatch. And he will get to the free throw line once again. So English made 1 of 2 last time around, makes the second. Or makes the first, sorry. The second is good as well. And the Knicks take a 1-point lead with 18 seconds to go. Where does Portland go? The last 2 possessions, they went to Brian Winters in the low post, and he missed a turnaround jumper both times. I mean, I think you get it to your MVP, Bob McAdoo. Or you get it to your finals MVP from 2 years ago. JoJo White is the player of the game. He has 22 on 10 of 19 shooting. So here we go. Ball into Brian Winters. They're probably going to let the clock go all the way down by 1, trying to hit a game winner here. And here we go. We got a screen by McAdoo. Winters drives right, and he just gets absolute swallowed. Haywood, though, oh, he missed it. Haywood grabbed the offensive rebound, but couldn't knock it in. He had a good look, but it was not good. And the New York Knicks survive Game 1 and take a 1-0 lead in the NBA Finals. Alex English, the rookie, closing it out. So on to game number 2 in New York. And going into the third quarter, the Blazers have a 8-point lead after blowing game 1. And into the fourth quarter, just a 3-point lead for the Blazers. And now we're going back and forth here. Just going back and forth. The Blazers up by 2 with 2.5 minutes to go. And with a minute and 9, the Blazers with a 5-point lead. Let's see if the Knicks can close this thing in. Nope, they cannot. And the Portland Trail Blazers win game 2 on the road. 44-7-5 for Brian Winters. Haywood had 31 and 15. Bob McAdoo had 30, 14, and 6. Also had 5 blocks. So the big 3 for Portland coming in big here in game number 2. Kareem had 26 and 22. JoJo White 22 and 19, but was not enough. So on to a game number 3. This time in Portland. Into the third quarter, Portland with a 9-point lead. Into the fourth quarter, Portland with a 6-point lead. Man, New York is they find themselves down big every single game. And they're not going to be able to come back from this one as Portland wins it 125-112. Take a 2-1 lead. Brian Winters with 38, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals. Bob McAdoo with 38, 11, and 5. Also had 3 blocks. And Haywood had 29, 15, and 5, 2 blocks. For the Knicks, JoJo White had 24, 2, and 7. Kareem 21 and 15. Oscar 16 and 18. Bob Love was 16 and 5. Alex English off the bench had 12, 4, and 5. But again, not enough as this super team in New York is down 2-1 to the Portland Trail Blazers. On to game number 4. Can the Knicks tie up this series? Off to a good start, but Portland comes back and takes the lead in the third quarter. Into the fourth, Portland up by 4. And with 4:27 to go, the Knicks take a 1-point lead. And now we're going to go back and forth here. And with 1:55 to go, the Blazers take a 3-point lead. 1 minute, 25 seconds. We'll jump in. The Blazers with a 106-105 lead over the Knicks. Can the Blazers take a 3-1 lead? So the court is messed up for some reason, so I'm going to have to fix that. But we are in Portland, technically. At least should be. The Knicks down by 1. They have the ball. Alex English just absolutely attacking the first-last player. Goodness. And so he goes back to the free throw line. And the first is up and in. And the second is good. So the Knicks take a 1-point lead. And now Brian Winters will bring it up. I don't know why the court looks like this. So Brian Winters, he gets the screen from Haywood. And Winters drives left, puts it up and in. The Knicks a little bit too worried about Haywood. Had a mix-up there, and Brian Winters had an easy layup. So JoJo White will bring it up. He drives right, puts it up and in. So we're going back and forth here as the Knicks take a 1-point lead. JoJo White with 32 points in 41 minutes. Brian Winters will now bring it up for the Knicks, or for the Blazers. And he gets a screen from Haywood, going back to the pick and roll. And Winters drives right, as my voice just cracked. And he gets the foul. So Winters to the free throw line. And he knocks down the first. And the second is up as the crowd chanting MVP for Brian Winters. So JoJo White for the Knicks will bring it up, down by 1. We've been back and forth the last few possessions. JoJo White pulls up a close jumper there, no good. And now Portland with the 1-point lead will bring it up. 32 seconds to go. Winters gets the screen from Haywood. Didn't work out too well. Good defense by New York. Winters will back down. Oscar Robinson into the post to Haywood. Haywood puts it up and no good. And I believe Bob Love came down with the rebound. So the Knicks are down by 1 with 18 seconds to go will have a chance to take the lead and win this game and tie up the series at 2. The New York Knicks coming in as favorites. They had home court advantage. Bob McAdoo is your player of the game. He has 40 in this one. But the big three from Portland have just absolutely dominated the Knicks. JoJo White will handle it. He's going to let the clock go down. And they'll start moving at about 7 seconds here as they do. JoJo gets a screen from Adams. 1 second on the clock, takes up a long 2. That is no good. And the Portland Trailblazers take a 3-1 lead over the New York Knicks. The big three, Brian Winters, Bob McAdoo, and Spencer Haywood, just absolutely dominating this series right now. On to a game number 5. The Knicks trying to avoid losing this series. The Blazers trying to win in 5. The Blazers with a 3-point lead into the 4th quarter. The Knicks take a lead, though. Now up by 6. Can Portland come back here and make this thing close? Got a 5-point game, and looks like the Knicks might be pulling away here, and they do, as the New York Knicks win it 117-114. As Kareem puts up 35, 10, and 3. Also had 6 blocks. Oscar had 18 and 9. JoJo White 14 and 10. Alex English 14, 4, and 6. For the Blazers, McAdoo had 38, 13, and 4. 2 steals, 5 blocks. Brian Winters 31 and 6. Haywood with 31 and 10. Again, it was not enough as the New York Knicks make it a 3-2 series. But this is a big one. Game 6. If the Knicks win Game 6, I think they have a solid shot at coming back from 3-1 and winning the series. But Portland is up by 9. Into the 3rd quarter, Portland up by 7. Into the 4th quarter, Portland up by 4. And with 4:41, Portland starting to pull away. They're up by now 9. And a minute 59 up by 10. And with 42 seconds to go, up by 10 as well. And that will do it. The Portland Trailblazers are NBA champions. They win it 132-122. Their 2nd NBA championship in 3 years. JoJo White had 22, 8, and 12 in the loss. Kareem 22 and 12. Oscar 18, 3, and 9. Again, was not enough. Spencer Haywood put up 44, 19, 6 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks in Game 6. Brian Winters at 36 and 6. Bob McAdoo 29, 13, and 4. I'm very curious to see who wins Finals MVP here. 2 years ago, Spencer Haywood won Finals MVP. Portland beats the Celtics in 5. This time beating the Knicks in 6. But Bob McAdoo won the regular season MVP. So the Portland Trail Blazers are the 1976-1977 NBA Finals champions. And the Finals MVP is Bob McAdoo. So Bob McAdoo gets the sweep. Regular season MVP and Finals MVP. 33 points per game. 12.7 rebounds. 3.7 assists. 2 steals. 3 blocks. As Bob McAdoo, at the age of 24, is a 2-time champion and a 1-time Finals MVP. On to player retirements, and we have a bunch. Barnett with the Bulls retires. He just left Portland. That's a little unfortunate. But he spent most of his career in Boston, then to Portland, and then last year in Chicago. His career awards, he does have an NBA championship with the Portland Trail Blazers back in 1975. He's an 8-time All-Star, 2-time First-Team All-NBA, 9-time Second-Team All-NBA, and 1-time Third-Team All-NBA. Rudy LaRusso retires, a 3-time NBA champion and 5-time All-Star. Oscar Robertson retires, a 1-time NBA champion. And that was in, 1974, I believe? Yeah, that was 1974 with the... Oh, man, I can't remember. Who was he with? See, 1974. Oh, with the Rockets. That's right. He won one with the Rockets. A 15-time All-Star, 9-time First-Team All-NBA, 4-time Second-Team All-NBA, 3-time First-Team All-Defensive, 7-time Second-Team All-Defensive. It's crazy that Oscar is retiring. This series has flown by. Spent most of his career, at least the first 7 years, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, first 7 years in Boston. Then went to Washington for 3 years, then to Philly for 3 years, and then to Houston for 3 years. And bounced around a little bit. And then to the Knicks, where they lost in the NBA Finals. Lenny Wilkens retires. Spent his career in Philly, a little bit in LA with the Lakers, and then the Seattle Supersonics. Lenny Wilkens, a 1-time NBA champion in 1968, 7-time All-Star, 3-time First-Team All-NBA, 1-time Second-Team All-NBA, 2-time Third-Team All-NBA, and 1-time Second-Team All-Defensive. Jerry West retires, a 2-time NBA champion in 71 and 73. I believe that's right, 1971, 1973. A 14-time All-Star, 6-time First-Team All-NBA, 7-time Second-Team All-NBA, 4-time Third-Team All-NBA, and 11-time First-Team All-Defensive. Over his career, he spent his first 7 years, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. His first 8 years in Buffalo. Is that right? That's not right. Buffalo wasn't around. Oh, in Atlanta. Got to remember that. I switched them. So yes, he spent his first 8 years in Atlanta, and then his last 8-9 years in Golden State. A career average of 26 points per game, 8 assists, and 2.5 steals per game. Chet Walker retires. He kind of bounced around the last few years, but spent most of his career in New York, then Philly, then to the Bullets, and his last year in Seattle. For award history, he's a 1-time champion in 1969, 2-time All-Star, and a 1-time Second-Team All-Rookie. And I believe that's it for retirements there. We'll go to the Hall of Famers. Jerry West, obviously a Hall of Famer. Oscar, averaging 23, 6, and 8.7 assists, is a Hall of Famer as well. Barnett, averaging 25, 4, and 4. And Lenny Wilkens, averaging 16, 4, and 8.8 assists. All 4 going into the Hall of Fame. And all 4 getting their jerseys retired. Jerry West getting his jerseys retired in Atlanta and Golden State. Barnett getting his jersey retired in Boston, as well as Oscar getting his retired in Boston. And Lenny Wilkens getting his retired in Philly. So here we are in the draft lottery. Now, I haven't really been showing the draft lottery because there hasn't been a lot of teams in the draft lottery. But out of the 24 teams that we have, 22 of them are filled. We're getting close to filling these 24 teams, and then obviously going on to the expansion teams. So, with the highest odds are the Indiana Pacers to get the #1 overall pick. The Nets are technically second at 14.4%. The Nuggets are third. Jazz are fourth. The Spurs are fifth, and the Chicago Bulls are sixth. So we'll see how this draft winds up. Remember, next year is the Larry Bird draft, but he will be overseas or back to college for 1 year. So his team, he will not be playing for his team year #1, or at least that year. So here we go. Let's go ahead and skip the results. The Denver Nuggets win the lottery and will have the #1 overall pick in the 1977 NBA draft. The Chicago Bulls get the #2 overall pick. The New Jersey Nets will have pick 3. Pacers with pick 4. Pick 5 to the Jazz. Pick 6 to the Spurs. Pick 7 to the Sixers. Pick 8 to the Pistons. I don't know how many players we have in this draft, but I think it's a good amount of players. So on to the 1977 NBA draft, and with the #1 overall pick, the Denver Nuggets select Bernard King, who I believe they selected in the 2K20 version of this. I believe the same thing happened. Pretty sure. So Bernard King goes to the Denver Nuggets. With the 2nd overall pick, the Chicago Bulls take Jack Sikma. The #3 overall pick, the New Jersey Nets take Marquise Johnson. With the 4th overall pick, the Indiana Pacers take Walter Davis. The 5th overall pick, the Utah Jazz take Brad Davis. With the 6th overall pick, the San Antonio Spurs take Norm Nixon. And with the 7th overall pick, the 76ers take Trey Rollins. With the 8th overall pick, the Detroit Pistons take James Edwards. And with the 9th overall pick, the Kansas City Kings pick Otis Birdsong. So in free agency here in 1977, Bob Lanier is a free agent, and I believe he moved. Yeah, Bob Lanier goes from Seattle to Utah. Interesting. Okay, Earl Monroe. The Nuggets just got the #1 overall pick and selected Bernard King. Now they signed the 30-year-old Earl Monroe, the point guard, who was in Detroit and then to Boston, now to Denver. Gus Johnson, he won a Finals MVP in Milwaukee. Now he is in Detroit. Nate Archibald goes to Golden State after being in Kansas City his first 7 years. Walt Frazier is staying in Boston. Dave Bing going from Phoenix to Houston. Pete Maravich. Whoa. Pete Maravich is going to Denver after spending his first 7 years in Buffalo. Buffalo never got it done, and Pete Maravich is leaving to the Denver Nuggets. So the Denver Nuggets making a nice little big 3 there with Earl Monroe, Pete Maravich, and Bernard King. Havlicek going from Seattle to Cleveland. McGinnis staying in Boston. Wilt Chamberlain going to Buffalo. He's just kind of bouncing around. Nate Thurman, he leaves the Buffalo Braves as well, and he goes to the Kansas City Kings. Joe Caldwell stays in Detroit. Gil Goodrich going to Utah. Lucas going to staying in Golden State. And there's the rest of your free agents. So the Denver Nuggets, the big winners here in the 1977 offseason. The 1977-1978 NBA season is now over, and the MVP is Rick Barry, which I believe is his 5th MVP. He averaged 43 points per game, 13.5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks per game. Crazy defensive stats too. Bernard King wins Rookie of the Year with the Denver Nuggets, averaging 25, 9, and 5, 2.5 steals, 2.3 blocks per game. Dave DeBusschere wins Sixth Man of the Year with the Is it Washington Bullets? Yeah, Washington Bullets, 17 and 10 per game. Rick Barry wins Defensive Player of the Year. There you go. 3 steals and 2 blocks per game. On to the All-NBA teams. We got Nate Archibald, JoJo White, Rick Barry, Spencer Haywood, and Bob Lanier. On the All-NBA second team, we got David Thompson, Walter Davis, Dan Issel, Gus Johnson, and Dave Cowens. On the All-NBA third team, we got Earl Monroe, Jeff Petrie, Elvin Hayes, Billy Cunningham, and Artis Gilmore. On the All-Defensive first team, we got JoJo White, Joe Caldwell, Rick Barry, Julius Erving, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. On the All-Defensive second team, we got Van Arsdale, Walt Frazier, Maurice Lucas, Bobby Jones, and Bob Lanier. So on to the playoffs. The Portland Trailblazers, the defending champions, are the number 1 seed. They're going up against the Buffalo Braves. The Washington Bullets are the number 1 seed in the East with Henry Bibby, Bobby Jones, Billy Cunningham, and Wes Unseld. They're playing the Chicago Bulls. 4-5 in the West is the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. 3-6 in the West is the Utah Jazz and the Denver Nuggets. That's a good series. For Utah, you got Brad Davis, Gil Goodrich, Adrian Dantley, and Bob Lanier versus Earl Monroe, Pete Maravich, and Bernard King, and Billy Cunningham, or not Billy Cunningham. Cunningham is on that Denver team as well. And the Lakers are the number 2 seed. Gus Williams, Paul Westphal, Van Arsdale, Chuck Robinson, and Willis Reed. And they're playing the Kansas City Kings. In the East, 4-5, we got Philly and Detroit, Boston and Milwaukee, 3-6. And the Knicks are the 2 seed this year, playing the 7-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers. So on to round number 2, as the Bucks, Bulls, Braves, Pistons, Jazz, Cavs, Kings are all eliminated. So we got 1 through 4, or 1 and 4 in the West. You got the Lakers and the 6-seeded Nuggets upsetting the 3-seeded Utah Jazz in the first round. And then we got the Washington Bullets and the 76ers. And then the 2-3 in the East, we got the Knicks and the Celtics. So 1 through 4 make it in the East, and the 3 seed in the West loses to the Denver Nuggets. So we got Portland versus Golden State. We got LA versus Denver. We got Washington versus Philly, and New York versus Boston. Let's see what happens in round number 2. The Golden State Warriors get swept by Portland. The Denver Nuggets lose in 6 to the LA Lakers. Good first year for Bernard King, though. The 76ers, they lose to the Bullets in 6. And the Boston Celtics lose to the New York Knicks in 7. So a lot of close series other than Portland sweeping Golden State. And now we got Portland versus the Lakers. Man, this Portland team, man, can they win 3 championships in 4 years? We'll see. Washington and New York. Can New York get to the NBA Finals? And can Kareem finally get one? Alex English is now starting his year 2, averaging 15, 5, and 5. And he's up to an 85 overall. I think that's probably a big difference, is Alex English playing a lot better. Like, he's a lot better of a player now. But Kareem, he's for some reason I thought Kareem was like 35 years old, but no, he's only 29, and he's averaging 21 and 15. So we'll see what happens. Here we go. The conference finals. Game number 1, both 1 seeds win game 1. Game number 2, both 1 seeds win game 2. Game number 3, Portland takes a 3-0 lead over the Lakers. New York takes game 3, though. Game number 4, the LA Lakers are swept by the Portland Trailblazers. So the Blazers into the NBA Finals for the 3rd time in 4 years. And then the Knicks, they lose game 4 to the Bullets. Now down 3-1. Game 5, the Knicks win. Game number 6, the Knicks win. So we got a game 7. The Knicks and the Washington Bullets. I feel like the Knicks should win this series. And game number 7, they do. We have a repeat. The New York Knicks win game number 7. Cunningham with 39, 13, and 5. Bibby with 30 and 10 was not enough, as the Knicks, Bob Love had 23 and 4. Kareem had 22 and 20. Alex English had 21. JoJo White had 13 and 13. For game 4, Portland beat LA to 122-100. Bob McAdoo at 37 and 12. Haywood at 36 and 15. I mean, that big 3 is just unbelievable. I mean, any one of them can put up 40 on you. It's just ridiculous. So can Portland win their third NBA title in 4 years? Or can the Knicks and Kareem get his first? Here we go. Jumping into the Simcast, game number 1 in Portland. The Knicks have an early lead, though, but the Portland Trailblazers coming back. The Knicks with a 5-point lead. And with a minute 27, the Knicks with a 4-point lead. Can the Blazers make this thing close? 27 seconds to go. The Knicks up by 4. Now up by 3. Remember, no 3-point line. 24 seconds to go. It's a 2-point game. Let's see. They probably just scored. So, oh, my bad. The Blazers just tied it up. I should have jumped in. 5 seconds to go. Let's jump in. Here we go. The Knicks, 5 seconds to go. Tied up at 119. I really need to fix this score. Ball into a first last. Are you kidding me? He's going to back up and take a 3, and that's no good. So we got overtime. Okay. Jumping back into the Simcast here, as we will continue into overtime as Portland takes an early lead into overtime, but we are now back and forth here. And with 2 minutes to go, the Knicks have a 1-point lead. With a minute 21 to go, the Blazers take a 1-point lead. A minute and 6 seconds, the Knicks have a 2-point lead. We'll go ahead and jump in and watch the last minute and 6 seconds here. Portland with the ball, down by 2. 132-130. Brian Winters with it. Gets a screen from McAdoo. Winters, pass down to McAdoo, and he dunks it. So it's a 2-point, or it's all tied up. The Portland Trailblazers have 53 assists in this game. That is bonkers. So the Knicks will bring it up. And they will get it into the post. They will try to get it into the post, but that's stolen. Up to Bob McAdoo. McAdoo with the fast break dunk, and the Trailblazers take a 2-point lead, 40 seconds to go. And here we go. The Knicks will try not to turn it over this time. Into the post of Bob Love. Bob Love. Nice post move. And the Knicks tie it up. So all tied at 134, 32 seconds to go. And Portland will have the ball. Each team, I believe, with a timeout remaining. Can the Blazers take a 1-0 lead? Or will the Knicks steal a game in Portland? Technically, in Portland. Ball into Winters, 30 seconds to go. Winters gets a screen from Bob McAdoo. He drives right, nice pass into Bob McAdoo, and he puts it in. Bob McAdoo is absolutely destroying the New York Knicks. And now with just under 21 seconds to go, the Knicks will have a chance to tie it up. If you're the Knicks, who do you get the ball into? Alex English has been kind of the guy, last year at least. Ball into Bob Love. Bob Love, oh, nice head fake there, as he gets a really quick bucket. So we're back to being tied, and Portland will call a timeout with 15 and a half seconds to go. Now, if you're Portland, who do you go? I mean, I do what you've been doing. Run the pick and roll with Winters and Bob McAdoo. So here we go. Scott with it. And he drives. And wow, a charging call on Scott. Are you kidding me? He had the mismatch on the first last, went to the bucket, and got the charging call. So now, oh, what a pass to Bob Love. And Bob Love closing it out for the Knicks, taking a 2-point lead. Winters full court shot, no good. And the New York Knicks steal game 1 in Portland, 138-136. Here in game number 2, the Knicks stealing game 1. And with 2 minutes to go, yeah, Portland is just absolutely dominating game number 2. They win it 130-107. Bob McAdoo with 40 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. Hayward with 36, 12, and 8. Game number 3 in New York. Who will take a 2-1 lead? The Blazers up by 8 and now up by 20 as the Blazers win back-to-back games, 127-111. Bob McAdoo, 39 and 21. Hayward with 32 and 14. So on to game number 4. As Portland up 2-1 in the series. Into the fourth quarter, the Knicks have an 82-75 lead. And with a minute 18, the Knicks have control of this one. They win it 111-101. McLaughlin with 24, JoJo White with 22 and 9, Bob Love with 17 and 6, Kareem with 17 and 19, and the series is all tied up at 2. So game 5 in Portland, a massive game number 5, and into the fourth, Portland with an 11-point lead, and they will win it easily, 129-111. Hayward with 39 and 13, Brian Winters with 35, 6 and 6, Bob McAdoo with 32 and 9. And Portland takes a 3-2 lead. So can Portland, who won it, by the way, in 6 last year, can they do the same this year? Or can Kareem and the Knicks force a game 7 and try to get Kareem his first NBA championship? I believe his first, if I'm not mistaken. So anyways, into the third quarter, Portland with an 8-point lead. Into the fourth, a 12-point lead for Portland. 35 seconds to go. That will do it. The Portland Trailblazers are NBA champions once again. They win it 131-102. A blowout. Brian Winters with 44. Bob McAdoo 38 and 15. Scott with 18 and 13. And the Portland Trailblazers are NBA champions for the third time in 4 years. They win back-to-back. And Bob McAdoo wins back-to-back finals MVPs. He's a 3-time champion, 2-time finals MVP at just the age of 25 years old. He's up to a 94 overall, 39.7 points per game, 14.7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 2.2 steals, and a block per game in the NBA Finals. Wow. So we are here in the offseason, and Wilt Chamberlain retires. Wilt, with an unbelievable career, averaged 22 a game, 13 rebounds, 4.5 assists, a steal and a half, 2.5 blocks. Spent his early years in Detroit, not doing a whole lot scoring wise. And then he went to New York for 4 years, where he took more of a scoring role. And then really it was later in his career where he started to average a lot more points, closer to 30, with the Kansas City Kings, or I guess the Royals maybe at that time. And then he went to Washington, Cleveland, and San Antonio, and then Buffalo his last few years. Awards, let's go ahead and look at those. He was a one-time MVP in 1973, I believe. Let me double check that that's right. 1973. Yeah, 1972-1973 season, he was the MVP. He's a 5-time champion in 1961, 1962, 1963, 1964, and 1969. Wow. 16-time All-Star, 2-time First-Team All-NBA, 8-time Second-Team All-NBA, 3-time Third-Team All-NBA. One of the greatest of all time. Let me know in the comments where you guys have him. Is he in your top 10? Let me know in the comments below, but he had a heck of a career. John Havlicek retires. A 2-time champion in 1965 and 1966, an 8-time All-Star, 2-time First-Team All-NBA, 2-time Third-Team All-NBA, 1-time Second-Team All-Defensive. Who did he win those 2 championships with? That was in what? 1965, 1966? The 36-37 season? Oh, with Golden State. That's right. Yeah, he won a couple early on with Golden State. So John Havlicek retiring. And I believe that's it for real players. Hall of Famers. Obviously, the 2 are in the Hall of Fame. John Havlicek averaging 28, 5, and 6 per game over the course of his career. And we saw Wilt's numbers. So there you go. Wilt and John Havlicek retiring. So this is a big draft lottery, because the best player in this draft, who by the way will be sitting out year number 1, is Larry Bird. So Larry Bird here in the 1978 NBA draft, the Spurs have the best chance to land him. The Indiana Pacers at number 2, the Nets at 3, Sonics at 4, Suns at 5, the Hawks at 6. So we'll see where Larry Bird ends up being in. And of course, the top 2 are no teams. But the Indiana Pacers land Larry Bird. The Supersonics take pick number 2. The Spurs take 3. Nets take 4. Suns take 5. Hawks take 6. Braves take 7. Bulls take 8. 9 to the Bucks and 10 to the Cavs. I don't believe there's that many players, but there you go. More than likely, Larry Bird will be going to the Indiana Pacers. We'll see, but more than likely. So here we are in the 1978 NBA draft. And the Indiana Pacers get the number 1 overall pick. And they select Larry Bird out of Indiana State. So a pretty cool homecoming for Larry Bird as he gets drafted by his hometown state. I mean, possibly his hometown state where he went to college. And by the way, he's returning to college for a year to play in Indiana State and I believe win them a national championship. So that's pretty cool. He will be on the Pacers next year. The Seattle Supersonics with the number 2 overall pick take George Johnson. The number 3 overall pick, the San Antonio... Man, I'm messing up these names right now. The San Antonio Spurs take Michael Cooper. The 4th overall pick, the New Jersey Nets take Michael Ray Richardson. The 5th overall pick, the Phoenix Suns take Reggie Theis. The 6th overall pick, the Atlanta Hawks take Purvis Short. With the 7th overall pick, the Buffalo Braves take Michael Thompson. With the 8th overall pick, the Chicago Bulls take Maurice Cheeks. With the 9th overall pick, the Milwaukee Bucks take Dave Corzine. And with the 10th overall pick, the Cleveland Cavaliers take Clement Johnson. Here in the 1978 NBA free agency, and Elvin Hayes leaves Chicago to join the Cavs. Dave Cowens leaves Milwaukee to go to Golden State. George Irvin stays in Philly. Bill Walton stays in Atlanta. Stays in Atlanta. And then, let's see, who else? Bobby Jones staying with the Washington Bullets. Not a lot of craziness here, I guess. Rudy Tomjanovich. He is going to Cleveland, so that's a big one. Dave DeBusschere going to the Nets. Brian Winters staying in Portland. Bob Dandridge. There we go. There's a big one. Bob Dandridge going to Portland. So now they have a big 4. Bob Love staying in New York. The Cavs going out and getting a bunch of guys, though. Maurice Lucas over to Cleveland. Walt Bellamy will be going to Houston. Chuck Robinson staying in LA. Campy Russell going from Boston to Phoenix. So some interesting moves. We'll see how that affects next year. But Portland, they're trying to three-peat. We'll see what happens. The 1978-1979 NBA season is now over, and Rick Barry wins his 6th regular season MVP, averaging 38, 12, and 5 per game. George Johnson wins Rookie of the Year, averaging 24 and 6. Keith Erickson wins Sixth Man of the Year, averaging 13, 3, and 5. Bill Walton is your Defensive Player of the Year, averaging 3.6 blocks per game, along with 17 rebounds per game. So on the All-NBA first team, we got Nate Archibald, Walter Davis, Rick Barry, George McGinnis, and Willis Reed. On the All-NBA second team, we got JoJo White, David Thompson, Billy Cunningham, Adrian Dantley, and Bob Lanier. On the All-NBA third team, we got Jeff Petrie, Earl Monroe, Bernard King, Gus Johnson, and Nate Thurman. And on the All-Defensive first team, we got JoJo White, Van Arsdale, Julius Erving, Bobby Jones, and Bill Walton. On the All-Defensive second team, we got Caldwell Frazier, Rick Barry, Bernard King, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So on to the playoffs. The 1 seed in the West is once again the Portland Trailblazers, who added Bob Dandridge, who's an 88 overall at 30 years old, averaging 21, 6, and 6 this year. Bob McAdoo, Spencer Haywood, Brian Winters, Charlie Scott. I mean, this team is absolutely ridiculous. They play the Phoenix Suns. We got the Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets with Earl Monroe, Pete Maravich, and Bernard King, also Cunningham. Kansas City Kings, Utah Jazz, and then we have the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors. In the East, the New York Knicks are back to being the number 1 seed with JoJo White, Scott Wedman, Alex English, who's up to an 87 overall, Bob Love, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They played the New Jersey Nets with Michael Ray Richardson, Bingo Smith, Marquise Johnson, Dave DeBusschere, and just a bunch of random guys. Cleveland, Washington as the 4-5, Detroit and Philly as the 3-6, and Boston, Atlanta as the 2-7. So let's go ahead and get through round number 1. The 76ers, Cavs, Lakers, Hawks, Nets, Warriors, Suns, Kings are all eliminated. A couple of upsets in the West. The Denver Nuggets upset the LA Lakers, winning 2-0, and now they will play the Portland Trailblazers. And then the Utah Jazz upset the Kansas City Kings, so we got a 2-6 over in the West. The Washington Bullets upset the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they will play the New York Knicks. And then we got the Celtics and Pistons on the other side. So round number 2, the Denver Nuggets get swept, the Utah Jazz lose in 5, the Celtics lose in 6, and the Bullets lose in 7. So we got the Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. Who's on this Pistons team? We got Dennis Johnson, Joe Caldwell, Jamal Wilkes, Gus Johnson, James Edwards, World B. Freeze coming off the bench for that team. So not bad of a Detroit team there. And for the Knicks, obviously, JoJo White, Scott Wedman, Alex English, Bob Love, and Kareem. For the Portland-Houston series, we know who's on Portland. But for Houston, we got Dave Bing, Rick Barry, Steve Mix, Walt Bellamy. So Rick Barry trying to get back to the NBA Finals. The Houston Rockets were actually in the NBA Finals just 3 years ago, where they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. So here we go. Can Portland get to the NBA Finals for the, 4th time in 5 years, trying to repeat? Or can the Knicks get back to the NBA Finals for a 3rd straight year, as they've lost to the Trailblazers the last 2? Game number 1. Portland and New York win both game number 1s. Game number 2, Detroit ties up the series at 1 with the Knicks. Portland takes a 2-0 lead. Game number 3, Portland takes a 3-0 lead. The Knicks take a 2-1 lead. The Houston Rockets get swept by Portland, and the Knicks take a 3-1 lead. On to game number 5, and the New York Knicks win in 5. Let's look at game 5 numbers. Alex English, 31, 6, and 7 in game number 5 to close out the Pistons. And then for game number 4, Rick Barry had 40, 10, and 6 was not enough, as Portland's Spencer Haywood had 32 and 19, McAdoo 26 and 14 and 6 to win that series. I think Portland's even better. Portland hasn't lost a game here in the playoffs, as they are 10-0. Can they go 14-0? We'll see. Can the Portland Trailblazers become the first team in a while to three-peat? Who was the last team? I mean, honestly, it might be easier to actually just go through here. Who was the last team to three-peat? That would have been, the Detroit Pistons with Cliff Hagan. They won 4 straight. And then before that, the Lakers with George Mikan three-peated. So there's only been 2 teams in our history to three-peat. The Lakers and the Pistons. Can the Blazers join that room and win 3 straight and win 4 in 5 years? Here we go. Game number 1. And at the half, the Blazers with a 2-point lead. Into the 4th quarter, the Blazers pulling away, up by 10, up by 13 now. 55 seconds to go, up by 13. And the Blazers win game 1. 121 to 114. By the way, I did try and download a new thing, so hopefully their court is fixed. If not, I'll try and work on it in between videos. Bob McAdoo, 32, 15, and 4. Bob Dandridge, the newest Portland Trailblazer, had 25, 6, and 8. Game number 2. And at the half here, or into the 3rd quarter, Blazers up by 9. And into the 4th, oh wow, the Blazers are absolutely dominating the New York Knicks. 123 to 92. Scott with 28 and 9. Bob McAdoo with 27 and 11. Haywood with 24, 8, and 5. Dandridge with 23, 8, and 10. Goodness gracious, this Portland team is so good as they go up 2-0. Game number 3 in New York, and into the 3rd quarter, Portland up by 7. Into the 4th, Portland up by 6. A minute 32, they're up by 14, and that will do it. The Blazers win it 130 to 122. Hayward with 29, 5 and 3. Bob McAdoo with 25 and 10. Winters with 24, 7 and 10. I mean, they just don't have enough. The New York Knicks just don't. And honestly, I think Kareem might be a little too old at this point. JoJo White, this Portland team is so good. Game number 4 in New York. I guess the court for Portland might not even matter. Well, we'll see. As we got a close game here, a minute 17. And the Blazers take a 5-point lead, 3-point lead. We'll jump in with 45 seconds to go and watch Portland possibly repeating. Portland with the ball up by 3, 45 seconds to go here in New York. And actually, I believe this might be the wrong New York court. That might be an updated court. I don't know. Bob McAdoo puts it in and gives the Portland Trailblazers a 5-point lead. And Alex English drives right, puts it up. No good. Hayward with the rebound. Scott will get fouled. And with 22.4 seconds to go, Scott to the free throw line as he hits his first. And the second is up and in. And it's a 7-point lead. And that will do it as the Portland Trailblazers will sweep the New York Knicks. And the Blazers become the third team in NBA history, at least our history, to repeat. And that will do it. The Portland Trailblazers repeat and win 4 in 5 years. We got a dynasty in Portland. Holy moly, that was a little unexpected, not gonna lie, as the Portland Trailblazers win it and sweep the New York Knicks. This crowd here in New York, not very happy, as the Knicks have lost now 3 straight here in the NBA Finals. Kareem still cannot get an NBA championship. This super team that the Knicks tried to put together, that they pretty much bought, have now lost 3 straight to a team that was built. And it was led by Bob McAdoo. Spencer Haywood, who by the way won the first Finals MVP with this team. Bob Dandridge coming over. And they still have the Spurs jerseys. Oh, yeah, it's because I used the Spurs. Yeah, that kind of got a little messed up. I wonder if the court is messed up still. I don't know. I tried fixing that, but there you go. There you go. The Portland Trailblazers are NBA champions. Bob McAdoo with his 3rd straight Finals MVP, averaging 28 points per game, 12 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 2.8 steals, 1.5 blocks per game at 26 years old. Bob McAdoo. I mean, where is he in your greatest of all time? Are you kidding me? Wow. Bob McAdoo, he came in. So they won a championship in 1974, 1975, which would have been Bob McAdoo's rookie year, I believe. They won here and then lost or didn't make it there, and then 1-1-1. No, that's a lie. 1-1-1, lost here, and then won here. 45. Oh, there you go. That makes more sense. Yeah, that makes more sense. 40. Yeah, 74, 75. So this year, I was like messing it up backwards. But yeah, so this year, the 74-75 season, where he averaged 28, 12.8, and 3 assists. But look at his career. He's averaging nearly 30 points per game, 13 rebounds, 2.5 assists, nearly 2 steals and 2 blocks. I mean, and he's shooting 62% from the field. I mean, what? I mean, he's on pace to becoming the greatest of all time. On pace. We'll see what happens. His 3-pointer is not very good at 34. So when we add the 3-point line, I wonder if he was a center. So yeah, no, that wouldn't make sense. But it'll be interesting. Brian Winters is a 99 3-point shot. It'll be interesting when we turn on the 3-pointers, which we will be this upcoming season. Yeah, so we might as well jump into it now and go to options, sliders. No, not sliders. Settings, gameplay. I think. No, not gameplay. I don't remember where it's actually at. Let's see. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go through it and look. It might actually be under sliders. That's CPU versus user. So I didn't change any of that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to find it, but I'll go ahead and find it and change it. It's not in here, I don't believe. There's difficulty. Oh, here we go. Simulation. Team pace shots. Here we go. So we will be upping the 3, and I'm just gonna keep it with the rest of them, I think. So 3-point percentage, I'm gonna up it to like 30, or you know what? No, like 25, and then yeah. So that should get it to work. I think we're at a good pace and whatnot, and then obviously we'll start to mess with that as you know more players, more teams come into the league. So, anyways, there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I do a sports podcast, and I have that channel, so I do that every week. So if you guys want to check that out in the description down below, talking NBA playoffs, NFL training camp stuff, just a little bit, but mainly NBA playoffs. As today, let's see, today we got game 2 of the Clippers Mavs and game 2 of the Lakers Suns. By the time you guys are watching this, that would have happened a while ago, but I'm kind of trying to get ahead on videos here. So but yeah, so if you guys want to check out that podcast, that's down in the description and down below. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the year 1979, the rookie seasons for Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.